All right, I'm gonna make this video. I don't know what I'm gonna make this video about. I just know I want to make a video. I guess one of the things that I want to talk about is, so they've started to screw with me right before I leave the house or right before I pull my phone out of Faraday. What they're trying to imply is that they're doing this to reduce my signal because I can't be seen looking too emotionally happy. I think they don't like the interpretation of them as doing this, which is clearly why they've been doing this. They will convince some of the less intelligent people that they're doing this because they're trying to keep people from seeing me too happy and wanting to do something to me because of that. But that is not why they're doing that. And it's obvious why they're doing it. Initially, their primary focus was to, anytime I felt something that could be considered interpreted as happiness, then I was stifled in that. They viciously assaulted my mind in those moments, specifically when I would resolve something resulting in a dopamine boost. They let me catch a taste of it, and then they would assault my mind, and it would be gone. You know, there's no way to reacquire that. Some people have the ability through meditation to voluntarily raise their gamma waves, but I don't think it's the same thing as what you receive with dopamine from successful troubleshooting. So when I troubleshooted the entire NBA scoring system, the performance metric system, and invented an entire new system that works much more effectively, several systems, and all of them work more effectively than anything they have, then I was not allowed to feel any of that dopamine. And then whenever I would start to think to myself, oh, hey, what's going on? I didn't understand what was happening at all, naturally. They didn't explain it to me. I had to figure it out on my own. And my mind would start to grasp for answers. What the fuck is going on? Why? You know what I mean? And see, every time I would come up with something, or I would think to myself, maybe that might be it, there was a tiny bit of expectation in my mind. They could identify it. And I would be assaulted at the precise moment of expectation. So it really sent me into disarray, and I started to just spiral emotionally. And then I would continue like somebody drowning, coming up for breath. You know what I mean? And you feel your breath, and then someone pushes you back down. You know what I mean? It was like this over and over and over again for days and weeks and months. I had no clue what was going on. It was the worst fucking experience. I thought about killing myself. That was a serious consideration. And if I had a convenient way to have done it, then it would have been accomplished. But the thing about it is that they did that because there was the insinuation that jealousy was the reason within my book. And see, people are, and I refer to the portion of the book 1984 when the government comes over the loudspeakers. They're announcing that they won this war, this major war against their enemy. They had been invested in this war emotionally, financially for a very long period of time. And as soon as they won, they began to cheer and shout, yay, yay. And then they came over to the speakers and said, we were never at war with that country. And they ripped all the posters off the walls and stomped them under their feet and started to shout about war with this new country and shout, and the whole thing was just, that's how they think. See, notice how I speak now? I'm so fucked in the head I can't even talk anymore. This started recently, but specifically it's a result of what they've been doing to me. But anyways, so That is essentially see, even my word human, like that shit starts coming out weird. I can't even talk anymore. Anyways, maybe I'll do some editing on this. But either way, they it just shows what the human condition is. You know, that's essentially the human condition in a nutshell. You know, to be so emotionally aligned with the government. You see what I mean? That you can't even there's not even freedom of thought in these people's heads. You see what I mean? They wake up every day, they turn on the television, they see what does Fox News say? And if you deviate from that at all, you are an enemy. Do you understand? So for me to have made these people jealous, well, hell, then I'm an enemy. You see what I mean? And I don't put that blame on you, for feeling that way. Well, I kind of do. But, not in the sense that it's causing me this and I want you to feel bad for having caused me this, but in the sense that, as a citizen, you're allowing your country to be flushed down the toilet and you're doing it willfully. Willfully ignorant is what you are. You see? And so most of you, I don't want to say all of you, of course, naturally, but, the vast majority of people are like that. And so what they're doing is callously just taking advantage of this. I'm Jesus Christ, okay? But this time around, if the crowd says, give us Barabbas, the aliens themselves are going to come down and say, oh, okay, yeah, well, hell yeah, we'll give you that guy. Fuck him. You know what I mean? And not in context of the crucifixion at all. In the context of something else entirely. The disposable Jesus Christ. That's what I am. Okay? And I go through this shit every fucking day. And so I don't understand I guess I understand what it is, but just sometimes I wonder, is it something that I've done wrong? You know what I mean? Legitimately for this many people to feel this way about me? But I just don't know, but either way, they do lay into me. They told me specifically to be violent, that I would have to be violent to get anything done. They spelled it out. They made a lesson out of it. They said high-level business people are in the same category. But, and my reading has led me to believe the same thing. What did Machiavelli say in The Prince? It's an instruction manual on rulership. It says, fortune is a woman. If you wish to master her, you must beat and strike her. And you will see that she submits herself to the more violent man. For something is youthful. Youthfulness is, it doesn't move slowly, something like this. I can't remember. But, and then it said, and then there was, the story of Ivan the Terrible. He bashed his son's head in an argument. His own son killed him, The most successful conqueror of all time. The reason that Russia is so big is because of him. Specifically and exclusively because of him. He was a Viking, Nordic bloodline, probably was naturally violent. But anyways, and then I get, fucked with constantly. If I put my phone in Faraday, the AirTag rings. If I pull my phone out of Faraday, the AirTag rings. And it's just always like this. You know what I mean? It's like your property and we don't give a shit. We have no shame. You know what I mean? And then, yeah, I get violent. I get crazy. You know what I mean? I say violent things. I don't get violent, but I say violent things. And I have violent intentions in those moments. Just like somebody in drug prohibition who has their product stolen from them and they can't call the cops. And then they go and they kill them. You see what I mean? And this goes on every fucking day. The cops are interesting because half of what they do is kidnapping people behind the pretense of drug prohibition. And then the vast majority of the crime that they, solve is caused by the people they kidnapped. So 90% of what they do is fucking people over. You know what I mean? Anyways, the point of the story is that when you have that type of situation where there's no recourse, your rights are directly and egregiously violated, then you become violent. You know what I mean? And so that's what happens, you know? And there's been a lot of shit like this, you know? People try to kill me. I've behaved violently, you know, over that. I can feel them over my phone. I have incredibly intense intuition from the number of times that the government tried to kill me. It's a well-established fact within, you know, different doctrines that you can use intuition and meditation, quiet your mind to sense it before it gets there, and then you can actually sense it before it's planned, and then you can sense it before it's even a thought in their head. Once you get up these levels, and as they explain, these skills develop interdependently, as it says in the Book of Five Rings, I believe. And so what I'm saying is that, you know, you can just, that's the way it is. And so by the time that people were trying to kill me who used to know me, don't know any fucking thing about me, haven't seen them in, you know, 20, at that time, 20 years, now coming up on 30, you know, I set my Twitter handle to my real name, and within 3 hours, I could feel it coming. The fucking pieces of shit felt like pieces of shit. Felt like white trash out there. Just white trash rage, you know? And it didn't feel like a threat, but the problem was that I could feel it. It's kind of like taking a drink of tap water. It's full of fluoride, and you drink it, you just feel it poison your body, you know? That's what it, like, feeling it. It felt like poisoning me. You know what I mean? Somehow, I can't explain. It's just, you wouldn't want to feel that. That's all I can say. I don't know if it poisoned me or not, but that was the feeling of it. Ugh, it's like being suffocated by white trash. You know what I mean? And yeah, they came and tried to kill me. You know, and that has caused me to act violently. You know, just feeling it, because I can feel it, and then my phone won't hard reset. Another thing is the aliens have assaulted my mind so relentlessly that I just have to it just drives me into a state of meditation. I'm like, okay, and they'll sit there and fuck with me. They'll sit there and assault my mind. And it's very, very vicious, and you would never want to experience that. Okay. But I sat there and told him, I said, okay, so you had me act like this, and now you're gonna fuck me up because of it. I said, you're a duplicitous piece of shit. And they said, correct. And so, anyways, I end up acting like this, and then I end up getting fucked up for it. And so, and then I was instructed to. This is my day-to-day life. You know what I mean? It's gotten old, man. You know, it's gotten really, old ain't even the fucking word. You know, I can feel it right now. God damn, here they are. But, you know, it's just, see, the way that they go about it is they try to pinpoint a moment in time where you wouldn't expect it. Like if I say something to them, like, what do you think about this? Oh, boom, assault right there. You see what I'm saying? Because I would never expect that. You see what I'm saying? So it's not just the assault. Sometimes it is just straight up assault, but usually it's, oh, I'll wait until you would never expect it. You know what I mean? And you would think that you can find your way out of that. You cannot. Because there will always be some little point in your mind where that does take place. And so that goes on. You know, that goes on day in and day out. You know, and like I said, the point of it is you got people who, and it goes both ways. Now, there's people at the top. No, people at the top. There's people that are higher intelligence. And it looks like they want to satiate their violence and you know, how they feel about everything that's going on, with taking it out on them, on the people who've been doing it, people who are responsible for it. But they've said one thing and then they've said another, and then now they're having me give messages to people that says, if they suspect, I do this thing where I'll get on camera and I'll just stay quiet and I'll just listen for them, and then I'll repeat what they say so you can see it in my eyes, that it registers that somebody's actually talking to me, you know, something. And they had me tell them this last time, they had me tell them, if they suspect anything, we aren't going to be able to come. We aren't going to be able to do what we came to do. You see what I'm saying? And the reason that they're going like this is because they want everybody to know, you know, hey, we're here to fuck things up, and we're going to let you see it coming. You know what I mean? Because, like it says in The Art of War, do not press a desperate enemy. With them, what they're saying is, I can press your desperation and then fuck you up, and you will have no choice. You see what I'm saying? I want to build your desperation to as high as it can fucking get, and then make all of your worst fucking nightmares come true. Because that's how they endear themselves to people, okay? It's that fucking sick. And if you read the Bible, you will understand this, okay? They did it in Egypt, and it said, I hardened Pharaoh's heart so that I could be glorified. And what does that mean? They killed every fucking firstborn child in the whole fucking country. Is that justice? Is that fair? To give somebody no way out and then kill everybody's kids because of it? What do these people have to do with that? You see what I'm saying? It's very far-fetched shit, okay? And that's just the reality of it. That's the way it's always been. You know, it just would behoove you to read the Bible and understand things before you start trying to fight something or thinking you're going to fight something. But that's human nature as well. They probably didn't have to harden Pharaoh's heart, you know? I mean, they probably didn't want to, you know, relinquish the fucking slaves. That's power. That's how power works. That's how, you know, when you have a system that's dysfunctional, that hasn't, you know, achieved, you know, total freedom yet, or checks and balances aren't all there yet, you know, I mean, it just is just dysfunctional. You know, it's, I think they call it top-down tyranny. I mean, you know, you got people at the top, they got the power, and then shit rolls downhill. There's no two ways about it. You know, it's a flawed system. You know, and I understand that. You know, I get mad when I get fucked with because that's human nature. But and I will end up probably being like that with them. But, you know, the thing of it is I don't know. It's just a position I would never choose to put myself in. You know, I would never choose to put myself in this position. You know, it's the worst position to be in. You know, the government sees you as a fucking threat, not only to their theft, but maybe to their fucking lives. The government. Yeah, and this has been going on a long time. You know what I mean? When I was 12 years old, they threw the biggest fucking fit and killed people and had people run around in Halloween masks with my social security number and shit. You know? Who could want that for themselves? You know what I mean? People that I admired. You know what I mean? They were just wild. They kept winding up dead. You know what I mean? And in that case, they admitted it. You know? And then what they say was the reason, you know, my hopes and dreams are on the line. You don't know the sorrow my heart holds in knowing where my hopes and dreams are going. What are their hopes and dreams? That they can keep fucking you over. And what really kind of frustrates me about that is you came at me with that knowing that there was way more for you to be concerned with by then than your fucking hopes and dreams. And then the added insult to injury of what are your hopes and dreams that you get to keep taking other people's hopes and dreams and flushing them down the fucking toilet? And you have the audacity to bring up your fucking hopes and dreams? Either way, like I said, not a good position to be in. You know what I mean? And then they just kept coming with the bullshit. You know what I mean? And it just kept coming. It just kept coming, man. And as a kid, they really took full advantage of it. I mean, they really fucked my life as hard as they could. Anytime they saw anything going on. You know, girls, oh yeah, they pulled out the stops. You know, they controlled the media. They had the media controlled to, you know, run me down and fuck my mind and all this. And then celebrated it, you know, with music by the time I was 15 years old. You know, people in Halloween masks with my social security number. They spent millions of dollars on that shit. And, you know, that's what they got up to when I was a kid. Now, because they're cowards, they didn't really fuck with me as an adult once I had way more than that going on. I had a Hawaiian Tropic calendar model as my girlfriend and a Hooters calendar model. And they did not do anything. You see what I mean? They're cowards. They're weak. You see what I'm saying? They had to wait until, you know, they had to seize the moment when I was a kid. You know what I mean? They're pieces of shit. And they do that. There's a lot of pedophile rings out there. A lot of the Democrats are involved in it. There's a good documentary out there called Pizzagate Pedogate. Pizzagate Pedogate by Titus Frost on BitChute. Several hours of documentation of kidnapping rings. They take the kids, and then they torture them. They sexually abuse them, and then they take gratification out of torturing them to death. Okay, and it's very well established that that's what's going on. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me how they act. And you know, they removed that documentary from, because I saw it on YouTube. Now it's gone. Okay, you cannot find it on YouTube anymore. And they said, oh, because it's disinformation. Because it's disinformation, it had to go. Because it wasn't true, it had to go. So if it's not true, then don't worry about it, right? Because if somebody's out there saying something about you that's not true, you don't respond to that. You know what I mean? You shrug it off. It's over with. It's gone. It doesn't matter. You see what I'm saying? Because you have nothing to back that up. Why would I feel threatened by that? You see what I'm saying? But they don't do that. You see what I'm saying? No. And they had everybody go, you know, oh, pizza. They're out there saying pizza. It became like a meme, like Pizzagate, the big lie, the big, you know, hack, the big, you know, bullshit. That's total, you know, the Pizzagate got equated with the word bullshit. You know what I mean? Just overnight. You see what I'm saying? Because they spent a lot of money on that. You see what I mean? Because they like taking your kids and torturing them to death. They're ripping their little cocks off and biting their faces off and shit. Beating off while they do that shit. Mm-hmm. And they like for you not to know about it. You see what I'm saying? But when you find out, they don't like that. You see what I'm saying? So, fuck those people. They'll be lucky if I don't have them tortured to death. I can't just fucking say that. Okay, anyways, because then they're gonna fuck me in my mind. They'll be lucky if I don't torture them to death. Anyways, look, the point of the story is that they had to give me somebody to keep me from torturing these people to death. She's supposedly some kind of Jesus Christ person. I think they're trying to say it's like a double crucifixion, but they don't really want you to know the truth that I gotta have that so I don't torture. Look, the problem is the government should never be in one person's hands, okay? Okay. That's just the way it is. And especially touching little kids and stuff. You know what I mean? I have no remorse for that kind of thing, man. I would hope that I wouldn't have those people tortured to death. And you know, that became a serious problem for me in my mind, that I might actually do something like that. And I started to try and think of ways I was like, trying to think of ways. I'm like, I'm in control of the government. Who's going to stop me? You know what I mean? And it just became a big thing in my head to try and think of how to fucking do it, man. And every day I couldn't come up with anything, you know? And I didn't really have that, you know, oh, I gotta fucking torture him to death. At this point, I've been agitated every fucking day. And I'm more hostile than I've been in a long fucking time. Okay? Even just holding that back a little bit right there. Just because I know, man, because they're so mean to me, man. They really go to work on my head. You know, emotionally, it feels like I'm in Jeffrey Dahmer's house. He's drilling holes in my head and pouring battery acid into it. It's fucking terrible. You know, and so, whatever, fuck them. Hopefully something gets fucked up because I couldn't. Anyways, I don't want to talk about it. But the point of the story, is that, you know, they gave me somebody who's supposedly like a Jesus Christ person. It was intertwined with a whole nother situation that had to do with nuclear weapons, permission to use nuclear weapons in California. Because there's so many Hispanic people in California. And they're just a bunch of parasites. I'm sorry, I just got to tell you the truth. They're parasites. But they're good people. On a personal level, I love them. But they just go for the socialism, okay? And that's a big problem. Because it's going to ruin the whole fucking country. And if you look at California, it's a fucking cesspit. And the reason why is because of them, you know? So, anyways, it's just a bad, terrible situation. So many fucking minorities. If you go to the mall, it's just like, oh my God, I feel like I was in fucking Mexico hanging around out there. You know, it's like, God damn. There's only certain parts of Los Angeles that I like to go to. Like Santa Monica, I like to be there. It's really nice. I love it in Santa Monica, actually. I just fucking love it. People playing their music all loud in their cars because it's in the air, you know what I mean? They feel it. Something special out there. Either way, they sent me out to California to do a nuclear weapons permission psyop that went all the way back to the 5 months prophecy, 5 months Noah spent in his ark, intertwined with the 5 months prophecy of Revelation. Had to do with, if they put me in jail, then they get permission to do it. I had no idea what was going on. I eventually figured out what was going on. Very fucked up, man. They did my mind dirty as fuck. By the time I got through with all that, I had to check myself into a psychiatric facility. And I had such a severe manic episode that I lost function of my limbs and I was crawling on the floor. After all of the assassination attempts, I developed severe post-traumatic stress disorder. The amygdala, the lizard brain, the fight or flight became so strong. You know, and this is what happens to people with post-traumatic stress. And so what happened was anytime I get in a situation like I had an air bike, this air bike right here is a nice air bike, you know. I bought a really good one so I could really lay into it, you know. It wouldn't wobble or anything. And to do high-intensity interval training, well, I didn't understand that high-intensity interval training causes cortisol to increase. And I had the worst fucking mental breakdown, manic episode out of that. My dad's wife started smoking, and this bitch hated me and tried to have me fucking killed. It was hard to see, hard to watch. Okay, very, very serious, very severe. Days on end, weeks on end. At some point, I was like this. I didn't know what was going on, and panic attacks, severe panic attacks after severe panic attacks. I had no idea what was causing it, man. I'm trying to smoke cigarettes, see if anything would work. Nothing would work. And that was from the assassination attempts. You can read about that in my book at thelambstestimony.com. I'm not allowed to know how many people come to see the website. I've confirmed that because the number of people who click my emails to go see the website doesn't align with the number of page views I got on my website by over 100-fold. But anyways, after everything happened with the situation in California with the nuclear weapons PSYOP, and in addition, in the situation with her, the check on torture, and they were not gentle about anything that they laid out. Okay, it was not fun at all. It was very, very bad. But anyways, nothing to worry about. Anybody wants to make some of that, catch a bullet in your head, bitch. You'll see what the fuck's coming. Anyways, look, the point of the story is this. I had a severe manic episode out of that. Like I said, my dad wanted me to go to a psychiatric facility. So I went to a psychiatric facility. Just the confinement of the psychiatric facility, I could feel the manic episode starting. It wasn't that much yet, but I could feel it. I even spoke to one of the techs about it. I said, I can feel a little manic episode coming on. I don't know what's going on. So I went ahead and got myself out of that facility, and I thought that maybe if I just drank enough liquor, it would just resolve itself. I ended up drinking so much that I got in a wreck, blew out my tire, and wound up stranded on the side of the road. And then it ended up resolving that, I think, the next day or something. But I went back home, and my dad wanted me to go to another psychiatric facility. I don't know. I went along with it just thinking that everything was going to be fine. But the end result was that I had a devastating manic episode. And what fucked me up most was after about 3 or 4 days of being in there, the manic episode started. When I first came in, they gave me the drugs and stuff, but they wouldn't let me go. I said, look, you got to let me out of here. This is getting bad. I being here is causing it. But they didn't understand that. Or they did and didn't care. It was a woman, so she could perceive power in me or success, then she would try to put me under her thumb. That's what women do. And it seemed like maybe that's what she was doing. But either way, just for the sake of argument, let's just say maybe she didn't understand what I was saying. And who the hell really could? Being in here caused me to have a manic episode. Nobody's going to really hear that out. So they didn't hear that out. And then the end result was that I had a severe manic episode. I had a severe manic episode in the psychiatric facility. And then when I got out of the psychiatric facility, I was still having a manic episode. And it went on for about 3 months. 3 months. And so, or maybe even 4 months. It was not fun, okay? It was so fucked up. When I went to see my doctor, I couldn't even sit down. I couldn't even sit down. I couldn't even sit in the chair across the table from her for more than 10 minutes. Maybe not even 10 minutes. I think it might have been 3 minutes. 3 minutes at the most. And then I had to get up and stand. And she was like, okay, I'm going to need you to sit. You know what I mean? Because that was weird, right? But I couldn't help it, you know. And they put me on lithium and Seroquel, which slowly helped. And I was waking up in the middle of the night having nightmares about somehow a thought in my head is going to get a woman raped. And this is what the aliens were doing to me. This is how they accomplished their bullshit. Yes, somehow, oh shit, you know, I'm gonna get her raped. I'm gonna get her raped. Just what I'm thinking is gonna get her raped. And it was like this about every maybe 30 minutes. I would wake up from another nightmare. Oh shit, you know, oh shit, you know, and then somehow I get myself back to sleep, and then 30 minutes later, another fucking nightmare. I wake right the fuck back up, and I did this all night long, every night. There was not really any sleep going on, really. And so I slowly but surely, after I started taking my drugs, it got to where it wasn't every 30 minutes. It was every 45 minutes. And then it was every hour. And then it was every 2 hours. And then I only woke up 2 times a night with nightmares thinking my thoughts was getting a woman raped, you know? And then it was only once, and then it stopped. And so that gave me reassurance that things were getting better, you know? But even feeling like things are getting better, it was just, I had that reassurance that things were getting better because I saw that. But emotionally, there was not a whole lot of evidence of it. And when I went to my doctor, and he said, go to aftercare. He said, you need to go to aftercare. It's more intensive treatment. And they'll give you doctor. You can see a doctor in there and all this. And so I went to aftercare for, I think, a month and a half. And one of the things I always kept bringing up over and over again, meditation. I was always talking about, I was able to meditate today. I was able to sit and keep my mind quiet for 15 minutes. You know, that was actually a huge accomplishment, just to be able to do that. Because when I was in my manic episode, I would try to meditate, but I couldn't do it. Okay. The mind just wouldn't, you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain that. Just think of something as simple as, okay, if I can just quiet my mind for 10 seconds, like just do it right now, you know? It's like, it's easy, you know what I mean? It's like 10 seconds, okay, I can do that. 10 seconds. I couldn't do it. The mind, it was like ripping my eyes darting back and forth. My mind couldn't do it, you know? So it took a long time. Finally, I got over that. But man, these aliens, I think, you know, what I'm saying is just the severity of it, of what they can do to your mind. You know what I mean? Well, yeah. I mean, they did that to me. You know what I mean? They assaulted my mind day in and day out for months until I was totally fucked. You know what I'm saying? Until I had I was a severely debilitated mess. An alien did that to me. You know? So, anyways, just, I don't know. It's a fucking nightmare. You know what I mean? It's a fucking nightmare. And, you know, if it's not one thing, it's another. You know what I mean? It's do this, but okay, we're going to fuck you in your mind. You know, you can avoid a lot of things in this life. You know what I mean? With forethought, you can. You know, you can avoid the car wreck. Really, if you just think about it, you know. Be a good driver. You know what I mean? Think about what you're doing. Even to the extent of developing intuition to say, something tells me I shouldn't be on the road today. I'm just not going to do that. You can do that. You know what I mean? You can avoid, cancer. You know what I mean? If you eat healthy and avoid a stressful lifestyle. You know what I mean? Eventually you may get it either way, but generally for a long time, you can avoid it. All of these things in life. You know what I mean? The workplace accident. You know what I mean? Be careful. Wear a helmet. You know what I mean? All this kind of shit. But see, the situation that I'm in, it wouldn't fucking matter what I did in life. There would be no way for me to ever avoid any of it. And I know that people wind up in situations but generally speaking, you can avoid it one way or another. I'm not trying to be disingenuous because I know we all run into bad situations. But I pride myself in being a person who likes to know what's going on. Not necessarily for the benefit of everyone, but for the benefit of myself. I like to know what, like it says in the Art of War, learn the terrain. Learn what your enemy's doing. Learn that. You know what I mean? And I go about my life in a way to avoid bad situations. And I've been successful in that, to a large extent. They tried to kill me 3 fucking times and didn't get it done. Or even maybe more than that. Hell, the psych facility was full of fucking assassins. It was an interesting story when I was in that fucking psych facility. I said, I was at a table with these guys. I haven't told this story very many times. Or maybe not even ever. But I was at a table with these guys. And I knew that I needed to portray myself as one of them. You know what I mean? And I brought up my robbery charge. It was a robbery charge I caught from doing, shit like that. And that is street cred. With a lot of people, because you live their fucking life and now you understand them. And if you have that on your criminal record, then actually you get a little bit of respect with me. You know what I mean? Because now you've been through my shit. Now you understand what the fuck I've been through. Well, they go, this person isn't, he said, this is a different kind of person. Said that right in front of me to the guy he was sitting right next to. And the Native American woman at the end of the table started crying. Just started crying right there on the spot. Right there on the fucking spot. Because she knew that something was so fucked up that it's unbelievable. Yeah. That kind of shit went on a lot. Like I said, the whole place flooded with these motherfucking tattoo motherfuckers. Wasn't any of them in there before I got there. And one of the motherfuckers straight up admitted it. And I made a video about that. It's called Assassination Attempts. It's like 35 minutes long. But yeah, the dude straight up admitted it. There's no other way to interpret that. But, yeah, they tried hard to kill me. Really fucking hard. Anyways, yeah, but those things, man, they're so fucking hardcore. And motherfuckers hold this shit against me. Even people in my own family. Oh, he thinks he's Jesus Christ? This kind of shit. And got other people catching grief over it. That's fine, whatever. It goes in people's head the wrong fucking way. But at the same time, this fucking shit sucks. This sucks for me. For me, personally. I didn't sign up for this shit. I don't want anything to do with it. I want out. You understand? I care, but not that much. There is a limit. Okay? A lot. You know what I mean? And I do. I care. You know what I mean? But not that much. You know what I mean? I could have said that a long time ago. In fact, I did say that a long time ago. I got to that point around the time of COVID, and I was just thinking, I can't change this fucking place. I need to make money in life. You know what I mean? I'm going to be fighting the wind out here for $0. I can't be doing that. I had hope for other people. And I knew that I carried a lot of people's hope because there had been a lot of things probably said about me. He's here to fix this and that. But, I didn't forget about those people when I made that decision. It was just like, I hope they understand. You know what I mean? And I went on about my life. I didn't even watch the fucking election that year, and didn't vote. And that was it. You know what I mean? And so, all I'm saying, I wish I had my watch on. It makes me look weird. Anyways, I forgot. But anyways, yeah, just, this is brutal. But that'll never take the target off my back. That won't. I brought that up several times. It's not going to take the target off my back. See, because now I'm still that guy. You know what I mean? I'm still the guy that's here to change things, even though not on his own volition. And trust me, if I try to back out, they will and have assaulted my mind for that. Which a lot of times I just tell them to go fuck themselves. I don't give a shit because it's so insulting what they go about that it's designed just to get me to that point. But they always know they're going to take it too far. You know what I mean? They know how far they can take it. And sometimes I tell them, go fuck yourself, and they will quit. They know exactly what's going on. You don't have to worry about that. Okay? But the point of the story is just, man, brutal shit. You know what I mean? And then to be assaulted, viciously, because people see me and say, oh, well, I think he might have made the Illuminati jealous. Fuck that guy. And that satiates shit with them. And you know what I'm saying? And to be not even signed up for it. You know what I mean? Just, god damn. It's just insult to injury. Makes me already hate you fucking people. Why do you gotta fucking do this to me? You know what I mean? What do you expect? We ain't aligned in our thinking, right? Just because I'm Jesus Christ is going to change that? All of a sudden, I'm gentle Jesus. I love you. You know what I mean? No. I don't. What I hate is living in a fucked up country. You know what I mean? I hate it. You know what I mean? I hate it for people, but I hate it for myself more, And when I see people who think the way that you think, and I'm not trying to tear you apart because I've done that and I'm done with that. I've grown past that, that's old shit. But, because I wouldn't want to just sit here and beat you down, especially being Jesus Christ. It makes it different, but to be clear, when I was just a guy, you know what I mean? And not Jesus in your eyes and in my eyes, I saw you like that. I saw you fucked up, piece of shit. Hypocrite was my favorite word to use. Hypocrite. Let me take back fucked up and piece of shit, even though it might be true. I'm Jesus Christ, y'all. I can't just say that anymore. But, hypocrite is what I saw. A vicious hypocrite. And I know today I can win you over and change your heart because I'm Jesus Christ today. But on those days I couldn't. You know what I mean? And that was rough for me. Rough for me to see it and feel it and experience it and know that you were a hypocrite and that all these people were suffering day in and day out, being kidnapped. I used to watch cops and you could see the motherfuckers standing over them while they beg, just taking it in. You know what I mean? Taking in that sexual satisfaction. You can see the sexual delight in their eyes, while they look down on those fucking people. And that's kidnapping. That's slavery. That's murder because somebody else is going to get killed. You just created a black market, And then I looked at the people who were responsible for it, and I knew it was because hypocritical endeavors. You know what I mean? Go to church, pray out loud. Oh, I'm special. What did Jesus Christ tell you not to do? That. You know what I mean? And now, because of some fucked up thought in their head about me making the Illuminati jealous, that I'm going to be disassembled in my own head. You know? And I'm not trying to sit here and make you bitter along with myself over this shit. I'm just saying that, man, that's hard, man. That's real hard. You know, makes you hate people. You know what I mean? Makes you hate. I think that's the right way to put it. It makes you hate. I've been experiencing a lot of hate lately. You know? Hating them. Hate you. I hate you. As I told them, I said, I hate you. I hate you. Hate. I hate you. You know what I'm saying? Cornered in my own head. You don't understand that. You don't understand what I'm going through, I'm sure. Very bad. Very, very bad. Okay? And to be done on behalf of them, you know what I mean? Just makes it so bad. Oh, man. You know what I'm saying? Just the hypocrisy is just trash. You know what I mean? I'm a good person today. I went to church and prayed in front of everybody. Time for you to get fucked, drug dealer, because I'm better than a drug dealer. I know I'm better than a drug dealer. I know I'm better than a drug user because I went to church. You know what I'm saying? Is that really the way it works? You know what I'm saying? Oh, because I get to feel better than somebody. Then I get to fucking put them in prison and say I'm better than them. You know what I'm saying? Because I went to church and prayed out loud in front of everybody. Put the money in the basket where you could see me putting it in the basket. What did Jesus say don't do? All of that. So now what? You're better than somebody. Okay, great. Now they're fucked. Now we're all fucked. So you can be better than somebody. Fuck you. Okay? And for me to have to suffer for the lost, misplaced shit in your fucking head. Fuck you people. Fuck you people. Fuck you anyways. Because you did fuck up this society. And those thoughts are still in your head? Okay, good enough. I'm glad I know that. Fuck you. Okay? Because that's what goes in your head every fucking day. How do I get fucked? How do I sign up to get fucked? How do I sign up to get somebody else fucked along with me? But it was good enough because, oh, wait a second. I got to feel better than somebody. But hey, it was worth it if I got to feel better than somebody, right? The death in slavery. You see what I'm saying? That just pisses me off. You know what I mean? Death and slavery for a little bit of little bit of delusional superiority complex bullshit. Okay? Just sucks, man. And to no end that even just the notion of me making the Illuminati or the government jealous, probably not the Illuminati, the government. The notion of me making the government jealous, man. It just sucks, dude. Sometimes I'm thinking about it, I'm like, okay, so looking around, I've got shit and trash, and then up there, it just works with that. So okay, I'm fucked. This is like daily for me. You know what I mean? And, when it wasn't, and it's just everything, man. It's like, these people fucking deserve it. They have it coming. You know what I mean? Look what they're doing. You know what I mean? Greg Abbott, make sure everybody got to go through substance abuse felony punishment facility. This is why the aliens and I came up with an idea. You're not allowed to be a governor if you're handicapped. Because, obviously, look how he's acting. You know what I mean? He's got to take it out on everybody he can't walk. That's what's going on. Rick Perry wasn't anywhere near. Rick Perry was actually okay in a lot of ways. I won't even go into it. He wanted to get rid of the Federal Reserve. That's a lot. But, people like, I think they said Rick Perry is good. Yeah, they did. All right, but that was a long time ago. They didn't say he's good, but he'll get away with it. But Greg Abbott. You know what, Rick Perry? I sent him a fucking message and said, I don't want to deal. I was pissed about probation, and he changed it. It changed the next day. They got rid of it. Yeah, Rick Perry's a good dude. Anyways, look, he's redeemable, and so is Gavin Newsom, and that's a little different. But what I'm saying is, you'll have to know more about people like that. I said I was going to kill myself, and then when I was in California, there was helicopters following me around. He didn't want to see me dead. He didn't want to see me dead. But either way, look, the point of the story is that, Greg Abbott, okay, is a totally different story. He made it to where everybody's got to go through substance abuse felony punishment facility before they can get out of prison. All of them. Well, guess what substance abuse felony punishment facility is? If you read $1 Trillion Conspiracy, you'll find that the methods used in that facility are from a Soviet brainwashing facility called MK Ultra. K control starts with a K in this case, because that's how they spell it over there. And the end result of the facility was a high rate of suicide. Okay? And so when I posted this online on YouTube, Barack Obama started the Smart on Crime initiative the next day. And so we can assume easily that Greg Abbott knew what this was and then just decided to go ahead and mindfuck all those fucking people. And they're working hard to get everything they can of marijuana kept illegal. You know what I'm saying? Even the little bullshit Delta 9, Delta 8 bullshit, they want it all gone. They're working on it right now. Yeah. With us here doing this, like, okay, we're going to put all the cops in jail for this, and the drug war people are all going to prison, and these motherfuckers are signing right up. Like, they don't give a shit. Pieces of shit. Those are real pieces of shit. I like to burn them alive. And see, the problem is that if I say shit like that, I get fucked up in the head. I get fucked. I get really fucked bad. But what else am I going to say? You know what I mean? I mean, obviously, I know the average person doesn't have the faculties to give a fuck. But I do. Sorry. But, really, what caused me to become like this about the government? Knowing that they were conspiring against me. By the time I was 15, so they had come out with Slipknot and a whole bunch of other shit had already happened that was really fucked up. And I started to find myself listening to Rage Against the Machine and thinking, I think I want to oppose the government. But I didn't understand why. See, this was not normal for me. I had never been like this before. But, and then I was placed into a boarding school, and I pretty much overthrew the entire corrupt school, which eventually ended up getting shut down by the government for abuse and assault and all this kind of shit. And I had those kids, I changed a lot of shit. They had them snitching on each other, and the alien's been talking about this. James, I shouldn't even say his name. Hopefully I didn't finish things. Either way, the point of the story is there was this guy, there was all these fucking people. And some of them were so fucking gone that, I mean, they were total Stockholm Syndrome. They were just, oh my God. These motherfuckers were pieces of shit. And the fucking teacher would come in and they'd be like, anything she said, this is the bitch who was leading all the bullshit that caused those motherfuckers to get shut down by the government, you know? Oh my God, I hated them. And I was the one who changed everything. And my mother ended up getting phone calls from some of the other kids and parents, and they told her that was what happened. He wasn't going to put up with shit. This is how he is, you know? And so where did that come from? You know what I mean? Something in my head knew what was going on. You know, these motherfuckers took it out on my ass, man. Halloween people run around with my social security number. You think I didn't 742? You think that didn't register in my head even just a little bit? You know, I've beaten an IQ test. I'm pretty sure that something registered about that in my head. Anyways, yeah. But yeah, just, you know, I have, like I said, what I was saying, y'all aren't going to understand the way I see things. You know what I mean? You certainly are never going to see things the way I see things. Okay. But I'm not ashamed of it. And I'm not ever going to see things the way you see things. Most of you. Ever. You know what I mean? I'll never see a Republican. Republicans are getting ahead, guys. Oh my God, all our problems are solved. Yeah. You know, that ain't going to be me. Okay? Even if I don't say shit, I'm not going to be doing that. Okay? And the motherfuckers I do find you disgusting. Okay? All of you. And you find them all over the fucking place, man. Sometimes they pop up in the most unexpected fucking places, I'll tell you. But either way, yeah, I'm just never going to see things the way you see things, and I'm proud of it. Anyways, look, that's all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed the video.